Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Road to 180 Reverse Diet. Now, if this is your first time at my channel, or if you just want a quick refresher of the necessary context, about 6 weeks ago, I had finished a 20-week fat loss phase, going down from 240 pounds down to 186 pounds. And for the past 5 weeks, I have been reversing my diet so then that way I can consolidate my weight loss and return into quote unquote normal society at a healthy maintenance caloric intake and eating the foods that I want to be eating, not being so restrictive. So, without any further ado, let's hop straight into the video. I'm going to provide a recap of the phase that we had completed. We just recently completed phase number 5, wherein we did not increase our weekly calories. We kept eating around 3,055, 3,100 calories. We continue eating the same foods that we have and the activity level. However, in phase 5, we reintroduced alcohol. Now, I did have on that Sunday, I did have a couple of drinks, and I mean, it was pretty fun. I'm not going to lie, but we'll discuss the implications for the weigh-ins down in previous sections. But essentially, all in all, that's phase 5, fairly standard. Now we enter phase 6, which is our last phase of the Road to 180 Reverse Diet, which is as follows. The weight now should be stable within a 2 to 3 pound variation. So, like I said, if I'm holding anywhere between 188 to 195 pounds, I'll be happy with that. And now and only now can I reintroduce some junk food. So candy, cookies, chips. I will admit I did have a couple in right before this phase, but now it's all bets are off. I don't have to feel like I'm cheating. And yeah, I can just incorporate those every now and again into my diet, which is going to be extremely exciting. I already had my first chocolate chip cookie in a while, and that was a borderline religious experience, to say the least. So I got to pace myself and make sure that I don't eat 6 in a day, but I can have 1 a day, and those are, so that way I can savor them. I can indulge, but I won't deny myself, but I won't overindulge. So, moving forward, we've got our weekly weigh-in totals. So, we weighed in on average at exactly 192 pounds last week. So, from week 4, we were averaging around 190.6, so essentially 191. This week we averaged a little higher, and that's due to a variety of factors. Again, I went out drinking on Sunday. Monday posted an astronomical weigh-in, as you'll see. That's mostly just water weight. And my eating wasn't as consistent this week, just with regards to meal timing and meal amounts, just because, again, Sunday was a little bit difficult to track. And I did have a couple of late nights this week as well, wherein I wasn't necessarily overeating, but it was more so I was under eating and didn't get super good sleeps or so on and so forth. So that might have skewed that a little bit. But all in all, we're only up essentially a pound, maybe a pound and a half on last week. So we're within that 2 to 3 pound variation. I'm happy with it. We're essentially, we got to keep our eye on it as well. So I will still keep my eye on it. If it starts to gradually increase, then we'll probably consider taking out some, cutting back by about, I don't know, maybe 200 calories or so, but I think we found our maintenance. Our maintenance is around 3,100 calories, which is great. That is fantastic. And really, really happy with it, to say the least. So, as always, I'm going to post the progress pictures right up on the screen here. And again, I have to say, I'm very, very satisfied. There is not a whole lot of noticeable difference to me, at least. Maybe you folks can let me know in the comments down below. But I am noticing there is still some vascularity. There is still that nice muscle separation. And just all in all, I'm feeling great. I'm looking great. And yeah, I can't really front. It's quite an experience having this as your normal everyday. I don't want to really lose the novelty of it, because obviously I'm like super proud of how far I came in the past 2 years. It's like, it's such an achievement. But of course it is as well. Like, it's nice when you get compliments from folks as well. Still getting those every now and again, which is great. But yeah, overall I'm very, very impressed, and I'm very proud of the physique that I've got right now, and I'm happy that I was able to consolidate it. I mean, 6 weeks in, with some minor hiccups aside, and now eventually, essentially this week we're going normal. Yeah, it's looking really, really good, and I'm actually really happy with myself and really proud of myself that I'm able to maintain it. So now we are going to get into our weekly caloric and macronutrient numbers. So again, these numbers might be a little bit inaccurate because I did have some difficulties tracking calories on Sunday and on was it Tuesday? No, and on Wednesday as well, Wednesday and Friday. However, these are sort of like this is like the best that I could do with it. So on average, we are averaging around 3,028 calories. So again, like, we're still within that 100 calorie little window either way. My carb intake increased a lot, and that's due to, I was a lot more active this week, and where I didn't get I had a couple nights where I didn't get a whole lot of sleep. For some reason, my body was just like craving carbohydrates, which is something that I did my best to moderate. But for this week, you'll notice that the carbohydrate intake increased significantly, and that was we were averaging around 276.5 grams per day, which is up, a fair bit. I think last week we were averaging around like 218. Protein is still fairly high, but it was actually lower than the carbohydrates. We were only averaging around 275.4 grams, which again is still fine, because if there is going to be any excess tissue, hopefully all of that protein that I'm eating is going to make me more muscular rather than a little bit more excess adipose tissue. And then our fat intake stayed about the same. It's like an increase of like three or so grams. Like, it's not a whole lot. That does need to be resolved. And again, that's sort of like my main issue. Like, carbs are really easy to eat. Even protein is like actually kind of easy to eat. It's just like my fat intake is something that I do have to watch. I do need to start eating more of it. But it's just, the problem is that because it's so dense, it's like there's not a whole lot of volume, and I am finding where I am fairly active, I need to have something that's going to like keep me full, because I'm pretty hungry all the time. And I'm not sure if that's like, if my metabolism still needs to like calm down. Time will tell, I guess. But in any event, that's our breakdown for this week. I'm expecting the carbohydrate intake to increase as well, just because, again, where I am going to be introducing more junk food. But that said, I'm only going to budget around like 600 calories at maximum for junk food. That said, I am going on vacation soon, so yeah, when you're at the cabin, all holds, all bets are off. to say the least. So now I'll give you a little sample menu, if you will, of what I ate this week. Tried to keep it consistent, but again, like there wasn't a whole lot of consistency in this week's menu either. Breakfast, you already know how it goes. 6 eggs. That's how we do it, along with 250 milliliters of whole milk, 30 grams of whey, a cup of all brand buds. So in the mid-morning, so for breakfast, I actually kind of swapped it out. Usually I'll have my, instead of the eggs first thing in the morning, I'll have that, what's it called? I'll have those all brand buds done first thing in the morning. And then maybe like some fresh fruit. Like I had a lot of cherries, so I crushed like a pound of cherries in the morning as well, which is probably not the best idea, but cherries are fucking amazing, and I just love them shits. So if I was to take the fruit out, breakfast would average around like 540 calories or something like that. Around like 82 grams of carbs, and about like 51 grams of protein, and about like 10 grams of fat. That's without fruit. If I were to add fruit, it'd probably be like an extra 300 calories and like an extra anywhere between like 60 to 80 grams of carbs. Mid-morning, 6 eggs. That's the standard. And then maybe some fruit, but usually it's just the 6 eggs by themselves. So that is 480 calories, 3 grams of carbs, 39 grams of protein, 33 grams of fat. You got to have eggs every day. I have to have them every day, I find anyway. Otherwise, I'll go stir crazy. If I don't have eggs, I start to lose it. And essentially, it's bad news bears for everybody involved. For my pre-workout meal, and again, I usually don't eat this all in one sitting. It's I usually do split it up into like 2 smaller meals, but for the purposes of tracking, I just keep it as like my pre-workout meals, if you will. Usually I ate a lot of chicken this week, so I had chicken. I made this like chicken salad with like chicken breast, tomatoes, raw onion, and like just a little dressing of like some Dijon mustard and everything else. That averaged to around like 900 calories, 32 grams of carbs, around 150 grams of protein, 17 grams of fat. And then I would have that with a couple of those street taco flour wraps, which are like 170 calories, like 27 grams carbs, 4 grams protein, 4 grams fat. And then I would have like something like assorted along with that. So it could be either, maybe it's some cheese, maybe it's some hummus, maybe it's some honey, something or other. But overall, that would average around like 1,400 calories, 100 grams of carbs, thereabouts. Like my pre-workout meals are where the majority of my protein intake comes in. So that's usually around like 170 odd grams of protein, 34 grams of fat, thereabouts. And then post-workout, this week it really depended, but I just did my standard Jello, Greek yogurt, and whey protein for like 250, 260 calories, 9 grams or thereabouts of carbs, around 50 grams of protein, no grams of fat, like just as something a little small. But again, like my post-workout meal was pretty infrequent. Sometimes I would just have a protein bar. Sometimes I would just have, I would have a little bit more carbohydrates, like if I'm going on a hike or something like that. So yeah, it wasn't as consistent. It is something that I am sort of like working towards. I want to get on a more consistent eating protocol, but that's essentially the sample menu. And it was decent eating this week. I can't front. So now we get into the update on the workouts. So with those numbers up on the screen, everything's been progressing. Of course, the big update is that I did have to take a deload on my leg day, but that's been going great. We're moving 145 pounds pretty easily. I mean, I don't really know what it is. I think it's just like some sort of weird mental block that I've got. Or maybe it's just my body getting used to the fact that there are so many more calories. Maybe I have to like really rejig how I time my macronutrients in my day. I don't want to get too granular with it, just because then it'll just lead to like paralysis by overanalysis. So we're just going to see how it goes. Hopefully I get to somewhat of a normal progression and I don't have to keep taking deloads on my leg day. That said though, chest day is going great. Everything is progressing. Pull day, same thing. Everything is going great. Oh yeah. And then after I get back from my vacation, I am actually going to start phasing out my cardio days, just because I am going to just prioritize instead getting in around like, I don't know, keeping up my non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So like averaging around like 18 to 20,000 steps a day, maybe exceed that. So my quote unquote rest days will actually be just days where I'll just stick to my step goal and maybe go on like a hike, maybe go on like, I don't know, some sort of an adventure. So then that way I still remain active, but where I'm having fun with it. Not that I don't have fun on cardio days, but yeah, I just find like I want to see if I need it. Obviously, if there's a change in weight or anything else, or if there's a change in like, you know, my mental, and I'm like, you know what, I really kind of need this cardio day, then I'll keep it in there. And then, of course, when I do get back as well, I am going to be entering a period of active rest. So that means I am going to be taking a break from resistance training, probably about the week after I get back. Mainly because, again, I haven't taken a rest day, like a proper rest day where I've done nothing I can't even remember. So I think it'll be good for my body just to chill out, enjoy the food within it, recover for a little bit. If anything, I think I've earned it, just because it's been a heck of a couple of years, and it's been a heck of a 6 months so far. But yeah, I think some rest is well deserved, to say the least. So, general thoughts on the journey. Well, I have to say, for entering in our sort of quote unquote like normal phase, and this is going to be the last video of, you know, reverse diet updates before the post-mortem comes up. It's been real. It has been a slice. I can't really find any superlative to put on it, because I'm just overall really satisfied that I did this process. I think it could have been a little bit better, in the sense of just my mentality with regards to this reverse diet. It is still challenging when you're eating like 3,200 calories a day and you still feel hungry, even after you're drinking like a gallon of water and everything else. It can get a little bit disheartening. And then of course there's like temptation all over the shop. You just want to be able to eat whenever you want to eat, and so on and so forth. That said, I am still happy with the results that I've achieved. I think that I fucking smashed it, and the calculations are on point. And yeah, I'm starting to have the bones of a system that is going to work for me going forward, which I think is really all I could ask for. As long as I don't reverse back to what I was, which I don't think I will, because yeah, who wants to go back to a version of themselves that they weren't satisfied with? Yeah, I think that the lessons that I've learned, which of course I'll release into the post-mortem, and the fact that I took my time with this reverse diet has just paid off dividends. It's given me a really good foundation to build on. But at the risk of rambling, I will put a pin in it there. This has been the last episode of the Road to 180 Reverse Diet. Thank you so much for all of your support along the journey. Couldn't have done it without y'all. I'm sorry, it's a broken record time. But thanks for sharing this journey with me. I really appreciate all of you. Hopefully this was informative. Hopefully this was equal parts entertaining and informative as well. So if you found it such, drop a like on the video and a comment down below to share your thoughts. I'd love to read them. And of course, consider subscribing as well if you'd like to see more content like this and other types of content that I will be producing on my channel in the future. I am going to be releasing my post-mortem next week. That's probably going to be the last video I am going to be releasing for a while. I have some other things in the mix, some other ideas of content that I want to do, but I also think I just need to take a break from it for a little bit, and just enjoy myself, enjoy my summer a little bit, and I will be back, but I won't be away for too long. I'll be back before you know it. In any event, thanks again for all of your support. Thanks for the views. Thanks for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. And I hope you all have a fantastic week. Let's power through this one. And I will see you all in the next one with my post-mortem update. Take care, everybody.